right, we'll go ahead and come to order. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this February 2024 meeting of the Oldham County Planning and Zoning Commission. Before we get underway, will everybody please join me in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. And if everyone would also please join me in setting the electronics to mute, please, for the duration of the hearing. First order of business will be approval of minutes. Can we go ahead and get a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Mr. Elder, thank you. Do I have any changes, edits, suggestions? Do we need a second now? Okay, Mr. Marsh, is that you? Thank you. Second, Mr. Marsh. Any changes, additions? Ms. Jones? Oh my gosh. All right. Okay. If there be no corrections or amendments to this, then we'll go ahead and get a voice vote. All in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. And the minutes are approved. Okay. We'll move into the first docket. Ms. Edgar, can you read that docket item for us, please?
Docket PZ 24-001. An application has been filed by the Ballardsville Fire Protection District for a community facility review for a proposed county radio transmission tower upgrade located at 4604 South Highway 53, Ballardsville. The property is zoned C1 Local Business District.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go through a staff presentation and then we'll come to you guys, okay? Thank you. Mr. Fogel?
Yep.
You have the staff presentation? Oh, let's get staff sworn.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning. Brian Fogel, Assistant Director, Oldham County Planning Development Services. The request we have before you all today is a community facility review for a county radio transmission tower located at the Ballardsville Fire Protection District Station 1 in Ballardsville. You've heard a few of these community facility reviews in the last year with the North Oldham Government Center and Library in the Goshen area, and then I believe in this fall, we heard one for the Eagle Creek Golf Course with the City of LaGrange, and then the North Oldham Fire Department for their new fire station. Notification for today's hearing was posted on the county's website. In late January, adjoining property owners were notified on February 6th, and a legal ad appeared in the Oldham Era newspaper on February 8th. The location, and I'm going to get you a better aerial here, but I wanted to start right here, exit 22 in LaGrange. If you travel south on 53 to when you get down to Ballardsville, you go through the three-way, it's not a three-way stop, you go through the stop in Ballardsville, and then the Ballardsville Fire Department Station 1 is on your right. Their property consists of two parcels, an approximate 1 3/4 parcel right here where their fire station and education administrative office are located, and they're proposing to locate the tower behind the existing fire station, and then an adjoining 3 1/4 acre parcel that's right here. Now, there's a kind of a donut hole in the property, and you see a white circle there. That's the water district's water tank in the Ballardsville area, and you'll see a couple pictures of it right here, starting right here. So here is Station 1, the administrative and classroom building here, which was the original fire station, the water district's water tower right here, and the proposed radio transmission tower would be located behind the fire department station right there. This is just looking out towards Henry and Shelby counties along 53, and then looking back towards the city of LaGrange on 53. The zoning in the area is primarily commercial and residential. The commercial is basically paralleling Highway 53 and parts of 22 right here. So you can see their parcels highlighted in red where the majority of their property is owned commercial. And then the yellow hues and kind of green hues would be R2, single-family residential, and agricultural residential. A little bit of history on the property. It's all related basically to the facilities that they have on the property. So in August of 1990, there was a minor plat that was approved that created the 1.79 acre parcel where the Station 1 building and their administrative offices are located. In July of 1992, there was a conditional use granted by the County Board of Adjustments to allow the construction of Station 1, which is the present fire department. So they moved from the old building, which is now the classroom building, into the new fire department. In September of 1998, they were granted conditional use by the Oldham County Board of Adjustments to place a mobile home on the property for a 2-year period of time for fire training purposes. In February of 2001, they were granted a variance for the installation of the freestanding sign that shows up in the pictures that we saw there, basically where it's closer to the front property line than what it's allowed and a little bit bigger than what it's allowed. And then in March of 2011, they acquired the adjacent 3.25 acre parcel, so there was a minor plat approval for that survey then. So the request is for a county radio transmission tower to be constructed behind the existing fire station. And this didn't translate real well to the screen. Now, you guys had a hard copy put in your packet, and I will go to a next view that's easier to understand. This is the building right here, Highway 53, and then where they're proposing to put the radio transmission tower is located here. The existing water tower is located here. And this shows up a little bit better on this, this construction drawing here. So the existing building where the fire department is located at is right here. There's a shed that's located right there. And they're proposing to construct the tower here behind the existing fire department. And here's a profile of the radio transmission tower. It's 190 feet tall for the structure, and then there's a 4-foot lightning rod on top of that. And a couple pictures behind the fire department building. So here's Station 1 right here, the shed, and then the approximate location where they're proposing to put the radio transmission tower. And then just a back view of it here. So the radio transmission tower would approximately be located in this location right here. So the community facility review process is addressed in the zoning ordinance. On the right-hand side of your screen is the portion of the zoning ordinance that basically authorizes the Planning Commission to review community facilities when they're proposed in the county. And the standards that you guys use when you review these are whether or not the proposal is in accordance with the Oldham County Comprehensive Plan. And the two elements that would apply to this would be the future land use map and then the community facilities goals and objectives. So the future land use plan identifies the Ballardsville Fire Protection District properties as an institutional use. And the definition of an institutional use are properties that are owned or used by governmental entities, religious institutions, so churches, and then public utilities. The goals and objectives for this, the goal and objective of Community Facility 1 basically says that when there's a need for community facilities, there should be a planning process that the applicants, in this case, the Ballardsville Fire Protection District, have gone through with the county, and that there should be an encouragement in that planning to having multiple users on a particular property. So probably the best example I can think of that right now would be the one you all heard last year with the North Oldham Government Center and Library branch. In this case, it would be the fire department and then the county wanting to install a radio transmission tower on the property. And then the other objective in the community facility review portion of the comprehensive plan basically says, with the community facility review, we should notify the public, which we have done for today's hearing, and that there should be the opportunity for public input. So basically, to summarize what the request is, it's to construct a 190-foot radio transmission tower behind the existing Ballardsville Fire Department Station 1 building. And that concludes the staff presentation, and available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Fogel. Okay, commissioners, who has questions? Ms. Jones, Mr. Douglas, get you next.
Can you tell me a little bit, what is the purpose or the reason, the need for this?
I'm going
Or
to
is
let
that for
the
the
applicant address that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I could tell you, but they can do a much better job in explaining to you what the reason is that they're requesting this.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Douglas?
I'm sure the applicant's going to answer this too, but since they're putting the tower up with the new radio systems that's in place with 911 and dispatch, will there be co-locations of other radio with police?
Yes, I'm going to
I
let
figured it's going to be the applicant, but my next question to you is, was there any mention of outside building to house any equipment for the radio tower?
Again, I'm going to kind of defer that one to the applicant. But
because
we
I
certainly
just-
have the drawings here to help explain what it is that they're asking for, both
Right.
in terms of the co-location and then any utility buildings that are associated with the tower.
Okay, because I didn't see it on the renderings of the drawing, so I didn't know if there was no buildings for it, so
Okay, good.
that's it.
All right, Mr. Marsh?
Mr. Fogel, did I hear you say that this is a county structure just on their property, or is this, who is funding this, and what's the driver here?
Yeah, I'm going to
Perfect.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fogel.
All right. Seems like my standard answer is the applicant can address your all's questions.
Let's move into
We're
presentation from
certainly
applicants.
available to answer any others you may have.
Just remember, he doesn't represent the applicant. He's orienting you to the application. So if you had questions about where is this located, or show me that picture again, those are the questions. Other than that, applicant always has to have something to say, so we'll just go to them.
All right. Let's go ahead and get the applicant team sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, gentlemen.
Good morning, Chris Hounds. Several roles, but I'm a magistrate in Oldham County. I'm also the deputy chief at Pee Wee Valley Fire. And this project that we're talking about, this tower at Ballardsville, this all started when we put the radio system in back in 2017. Thank you. I can remember 17 or 18. And we put an 800 megahertz radio system. We have one tower in existence right now. It's the Wave Tower that's located over on Highway 42, kind of close to 524. That tower does a great job of covering the whole county, but we have had issues. And with only having one tower, it doesn't give us redundancy, which is very crucial in a 911 system. So the plan is we would put this tower in at Ballardsville. There's no guide wires. It's a self-supporting tower, so it's just exactly what you see. It's the tallest tower we can put in without having to get FAA involved, which is crucial. Costs a lot of money. You got to put lights on it. Don't want to do that. This antenna will have 911 services on it only. It will be designed. It's paid for by the county. It will have ability to put the radio system on there as a co-location antenna for police, fire, and EMS, the animal control, the road department, everybody in the county that is on the radio system. And this will fill a void that we have in that area. So you got to understand how these antennas work. It's just like a cell phone antenna. You place one, and then over time, that antenna is going to degrade because of trees, buildings, and whatever else. So we hoped we weren't going to have to do this, but obviously that didn't work. So we're a Motorola Solutions radio system. Bo Glass is the director of OCD, Oldham County Central Dispatch. Stephen Fonte is the chief of Ballardsville. And when we started this project, we tried to find the best location that we could put the tower that could give us the most coverage, the biggest bang for our buck. And fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, the county doesn't own any property. I mean, very little property. We don't have parcels scattered everywhere. So we have to rely on our friends. So that's when I got in touch with Ballardsville and said, hey, would you guys be willing to allow us to put an antenna on your facility? There is no building for the facility for the antenna. Everything is going to be housed inside the corner of the firehouse that hopefully the chief's got cleaned out by now. We're gonna put the equipment. But it is a project that we know will enhance the radio coverage for not only that area of Ballardsville, but for other parts of the county. It also allows us to kind of migrate into the Henry County and Shelby County area, which unfortunately or fortunately, depending how you look at it, we do make runs in there, Ballardsville, South Oldham, and LaGrange. So, and also it'll help this part of the 71 corridor. I think that's pretty much, did that answer the,
All right. Anyone else here willing to or interested in speaking in favor of this application? All right. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application? All right, commissioners, you're up. Questions? Mr. Ender?
Yeah, can you take me just through a little bit of the due diligence that you all went through to arrive at this particular solution? I know you said you didn't want guide wires, and I think that's great. Can you just take us a little bit through that and how you all arrived at this particular size tower? I'm sure there was multiple options.
cost and maximum strength of signal for the cost.
Did you all use some sort of subject matter experts to help
Motorola
advise?
Solutions. They have a complete package. So they came out and did propagation studies. We've been working on this. How long have you been here?
A year and a half.
So 3 years. I've been working on this project.
Right.
Prior to Bo, Jerry Nart was the director and EMA and OCD director. We've been working on it with Kevin Nuss, the deputy judge. And they came out and did a propagation study, and their studies are very conservative, but basically what they do is we dropped pins. Like we looked at other locations throughout the county, and it was either too crowded. So you got to think about radio waves. You don't have a lot of cell towers sitting on top of each other. So in a case of, I'll just use a water tower as an example. You look at the top of some of the water towers throughout the county, they're covered with antennas. So you've got a lot of interference. We don't want any interference. We want the signal to be as clear as possible because it's public safety. So there was a lot of work done before we came up with this location. We vetted three or four other locations before we got to this location.
Got it.
All right. Mr. Marsh?
Following up to that. Got you. There we go. Following up to that a little bit. What does the future look like? You mentioned in your presentation that obsolescence happens there. Has this got capacity to continue to add on and improve over years?
Yes. So every antenna that we build is usually built for 100% additional. But for, if we had to add a microwave or something to it, look, I'm not an engineer for Motorola, so your question, I get it. I would love to say, hey, we're done. But I'm also a realist and understand probably not. We may have to add other equipment. So all the antennas talk to each other. So the Ballardsville antenna will talk to OCD, Oldham County Central Dispatch at 393. And then it'll talk to the wave tower. And it'll also talk to the MSD tower that's at 71, essentially in the county line. So we're making this complete circuit between all the antennas. I can get a little more technicality, but essentially we've got to get to the wave tower. We've always got to get to the wave tower. If not, we go into site trunking, and then we're on our own little island. We can't talk outside in the metro.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Douglas?
Chris, when Motorola Solutions did the studies on where to locate,
Where else was there dead areas in the county that we need to concentrate on?
We don't really have any dead areas. We have areas that are, the
Intermittent?
coverage isn't always the best. We
Right.
don't have any dead areas. So when we built the radio system, I say we, not me, when Motorola proposed the radio system, it was for a handheld radio, which is down to 3 watts on 800 outside, at street level. That's how it was designed. So in a perfect world, we may have to add another antenna in the future, but right now, without this antenna being live, it would not be, I wouldn't be able to tell you where the next antenna would have to be, because I know that there were places when they gave us a propagation study originally that they said, it's going to not be as good here, and it works great. It's the same thing with your cell phone. I mean, I can be in my family room and talk to you 1 minute. Mr. Urban calls me and I have no idea. I just know it's Jim. That's all I know. I can't understand a word he's saying. And I'm in the same place when I was talking to you.
Right. And it's going to depend on the weather and all the other
Right.
outside factors.
Right.
So I think it's a great thing. I mean, I think it's a great place to have it. So anyway, thanks.
All right. Other questions? Mr. Fox?
Apologies. Did I understand that you can't put these on top of the water tower because of interference problems?
You can put them on top of water towers. There's a few issues with putting them on top of a water tower. Water towers have to be painted between every 7 and 10 years, and so all the equipment has to be taken off of the tower. So we lose the radio system for that antenna for that period of time. The water tower that's at Ballardsville, it was going to be more expensive to run electricity and stuff to that water tower. We would have had to build a building. We just looked, air conditioning. I mean, there was a lot of factors that as soon as we started adding them up, the cost started going up. And then too, this tower is going to be, what did we figure, 30 or 40 feet taller? Yeah. I think it's 30 or 40 feet taller. I apologize, I don't have the exact number, which is, we want. I mean, if we could get to 200 feet and not have to put guide wires and deal with the FAA and put lights on it and all, maybe we would do that. But again, this is the tallest tower we can get, biggest bang for our buck, and not have to go through all the other regulatory pieces.
Thank you.
All right. Further questions? All right. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. We will be dispensing with rebuttal and finals as we go through this. So we will move into decision-making time. So, Mr. Urban, will you frame us up?
Sure. The purpose of a community facility review is to determine whether the proposed facility is in accordance with the comprehensive plan, and you review it based on that. Your decision is really acceptance of the proposal because it complies with goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan, or you make recommendations on how it might better comply with the comprehensive plan. In the staff report, obviously, and Brian went over the goals and objectives that we feel are appropriate for the acceptance of the community facility review. So based on the evidence and testimony that you heard today, a motion either to accept or to recommend additional changes to the proposal.
Okay, commissioners, we'll open the floor for motions. Mr. Douglas?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion for PZ-24-001 that we move to accept the community facility because the proposed Ballardsville Fire Protection District's radio commission tower is in accordance with the comprehensive plan's future use, land use, and it meets the following community facilities and service goal and objectives. Go CF1 to provide for needed community facilities and services. Objective CF-1-1, maintain and use existing community facilities when appropriate. And also Objective CF1-2, development priority areas should be given consideration for expansion or new construction of this tower. Objective CF1 3, inform the community and provide special notice to all interested parties, which the applicants have done. Continue the formal community facility review process, which has been also implemented. And that's my motion.
Thank you, Mr. Douglas. Mr. Combs, are we good? We have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? Mr. Falvey, thank you. We will move into roll call vote.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Elder,
Yes.
Mr. Ender,
Yes.
Mr. Falvey,
Yes.
Mr. Finney,
Yes.
Mr. Fox,
Yes.
Mr. Hampton,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Klingenfuss,
Yes.
Ms. Nasser,
Yes.
Ms. Walzer,
Yes.
Mr. Marsh.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Edgar. And PZ, where are we? 24-001 passes on a vote of 12-0. Thank you, gentlemen. There we go. All right, everybody doing good? We're going to move into the next portion. All right, Ms. Edgar, will you read the docket, please?
An application has been filed by Susan Aker for the approval of a waiver of Oldham County Subdivision Regulations, Section 5.7E, joint access to allow another parcel on an access easement at property located at 3509 West Highway 146, LaGrange. The property is zoned C3 General Business District.
Thank you, Ms. Edgar. And Mr. Fisher, you have the staff presentation?
All right, Ryan Fisher, Senior Planner with Oldham County Planning and Development. As Ms. Edgar stated, this is for a access easement waiver at 3509 West Highway 146. So this is going down 146 just past the Oldham County Jail property. And we'll look at some pictures here in a second to frame this up. So the zoning is a C3 General Business District. It's land use currently. It's kind of mixed all around there, but the particular house and church is going to be kind of what we're looking for. And it sits on 2.324 acres of land. So here is the property. Once again, Oldham County Jail right here. And then it's this driveway running back to the existing residence and the existing church property. So I just want you to keep in mind, everything that we're looking at today with this access easement waiver is already there. This isn't creating any lot that's going to be for a potential new structure. Everything is there, and I'll explain a little bit of the backstory of how we got here in a second. So here's the zoning on the property, all of this area here. And once again, this is a residentially used property to the left, is all C3. And don't ask me how long it's been C3, because it's been as long as, well, I haven't been here that long, but maybe even as long as Mr. Urban can remember. We did just have a zoning change here recently to this R4, and that's where the new apartments are going. I think they're called Oldham Point Apartments, are right there. So that's where we're looking at in the zoning map on that property. As far as our case history goes, we did post this to our website as usual at the end of January. Sent out those adjoining property owner notices on the 6th of February, and that public notice appeared in the Oldham Era on the 8th. No site history. And so really what the applicant is proposing is to create a minor plat that will split the existing tract that has the house and the church property on it into two different tracts. And you see there a 1.837 acre tract, which will be tract 1, and a 0.487 acre tract, which will be tract 2, which will be the house. And so When this came about, the surveyor called and said, you know, the applicant wants to split off their property as the pastor that lives in the house is going to be retiring. What do we need to do? And so we talked about it as staff and thought it would just be best, even though everything is existing, to bring it before you all, because in creating that new tract, that actually then creates 4 parcels having access off of that easement. And so the existing parcel has that church and its parsonage on it. They are proposing to split these two because the applicant, the former pastor and his wife, want to remain at that location, and they're going to divide that church off because of a retirement. So here is the plat. You all did receive a copy of this, I believe, in your staff packet, showing the access easement coming in. So 146 would be down here at the bottom of the screen, coming in and going back to the existing property. Now, I'm going to color code this for your viewing enjoyment, which will hopefully help. And hopefully I got all these lines correct here in just a second. So in splitting the lots, as I said, that access easement will now have 4 parcels on it. And I'm going to kind of go through step by step and show you where these are. And so the applicant is then requesting a waiver of those subdivision regulations for the approval of that 4th parcel on an access easement. And that particular section was also included in your staff packet. And it's also here as well. So once again, here's the access easement coming in off 146, highlighted in yellow. And so that first tract of land that we're going to look at is that tract 2, which is going to have the existing residence on it. So that is the first tract that will take access off of that easement. The second one, in that lighter shade up here at the top, will be tract 1. That will be the existing church property. So that will be our second. Our third will be the property here to the right, and I don't know what they're using that building for now. I believe it used to be a flea market, maybe. So that is to the right side. That takes access. And then Mr. Seward's property to the left rear of the property if the minor plat is approved, will all take access off of that easement. I did highlight another shade here. This property to the front is also owned by Mr. Seward. There is nothing on that property as of now, and actually I believe his driveway going back to his property actually cuts into here and goes back in that general area. So there is nothing on that property right now that is undeveloped, but I just wanted to highlight that as well. So the applicant will prepare a minor plat and a shared road maintenance agreement for all parties involved if you all do choose to approve this today. And then just a couple pictures for you showing the property. Here's the road going back. You've got the existing residence here to your right, the church property to the rear, and here's the driveway going off to the left back to Mr. Seward's house. You can see back to the left of that photo. More pictures of the existing residence as well as the church property. You come back once again towards Mr. Seward's property to the left. You can see it back here in the background. More pictures looking towards that fork in the road. And then looking back towards 146. So here is that Oldham Point apartment development. Over here is whatever this is today. That commercial building that's there to the left as you exit. And another picture towards the residence in that commercial building. So in summary, the applicant is requesting a waiver of those Oldham County subdivision regulations, section 5.7, item E, for the approval of what will become a 4th parcel on an access easement if you all approve that today, and that minor plat is then approved at staff level. So potential conditions of approval: the waiver shall only apply to the plan reviewed today at this February 27th, 2024 Planning Commission public hearing. A minor plat application and survey must be submitted to staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of any building permits. And then a shared road maintenance agreement shall be prepared and agreed upon by all parties affected and recorded with the minor plat. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I'll take any questions and see if I can answer any of them or defer to the applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Who has questions for Mr. Fisher? Mr. Douglas? Mr. Marshall, get you next.
Mr. Fisher, I only have a couple questions. First question is that Do you know if the existing residence is on septic or sewers?
Believe it's on sewer, but you can ask the applicant that.
Okay.
Yes.
My second question is that since we're looking at, this is C3, splitting of the property of tract 1, making a tract 2, C3 allow residential use only?
It's a good question. That was there when the zoning ordinance allowed for what's called tiered zoning. So if you had C3, you could do C2, C1, and then all the Rs. So it is a legal non-conforming use according to our current regulations, but it's always been there.
So just grandfather it in, is that?
Legal non-conforming use.
Mr. Marsh?
Mr. Fisher, the purple section that you're saying is not developed right now, but that would be the 5th parcel on this easement if developed and when developed. Is that correct?
Well, if they proposed anything on that property, so if Mr. Seward were to ever, let's say, sell that property and then somebody goes, oh, I want to build a house here, they would have to come back before you for
Any access?
any access if they couldn't get it off, and they probably couldn't get it off because there's an apartment complex in front of them now. But and so that would come before you all again. So
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Ender?
Do you know if there is a shared maintenance agreement in place today for the existing parcels?
I'm going to let the applicant answer that question because I believe I asked them that, and that they weren't sure, I guess, at the time that I asked them. So I'll let them answer that question.
Okay, anyone else? Mr. Douglas, please.
This might be for the applicant, but I'm sure you did research on it. Who is Henry and Fay Beach? If they own the egress and ingress, because apparently it shows that they once used to own that.
I'm going to let them answer that one too.
Okay. I didn't know how that worked,
Right.
so, thank you.
Anyone else? All right, thank you, Mr. Fisher. Thank you. Okay, we'll move into presentation from applicant. If you guys will please approach the podium, and we'll get you sworn in, okay? Raise your right hands.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
And can we get each of you provide your name and address for the record, please?
I am Susan A.
Come closer.
Yeah, speak loudly and clear. Okay. I am Susan Acree. I live at 3509 West Highway 146. And that's going to be track 2. I think we decided that was going to be track 2. Yeah.
All right.
Anything else you need?
And you, sir?
My name is William Knisner. I'm with Meridian Surveying and Design Services in LaGrange, Kentucky, 2249 Commerce Parkway.
All right. The floor is yours.
So Miss Aker had contacted us last year.
It's Acree.
Acree, sorry.
2 E's on the end of it.
About doing a minor plat to sever off the parsonage from the existing church. Her husband originally purchased this property back in 1998. So he established the church and the parsonage associated with it. Over time, more and more parcels had been carved off of the parent tract that exists just as that little sliver that Mr. Douglas had asked about. So by doing this, I approached Ryan and asked him how to take care of this due to the complex situation that we're dealing with right there. And he said probably best just to go in front of the commission and get a waiver for an additional lot. So kind of a brief history of the property. So her husband originally purchased this in 1998, and then soon after, the parcel that's shown in the green up there was carved off in the same year. As that stands now, that is actually family to the original owners, the Beach family. So the strip that Mr. Douglas was talking about is inherently owned by the family of the property. So it's, in my world, it's a separate tract because of the way the paperwork was done, but theoretically, it's not. They still own it. And then after that, her husband sold the pink triangle back there to Mr. Seward, and then the remainder of the purple to Mr. Seward. So that's kind of a brief breakdown of how all this transpired of the breaking down of lots. So her intent is right now her husband has retired and he's ill health, and she is looking to have what is equity basically in a piece of property. The church exists on its own, so she needs to be able to take care of her husband, and if any time comes to be she needs money to take care of him, she's going to use the equity within the house to help with the bills as they stand. So that's the purpose of this. The church has still shown interest in keeping the parsonage with it at a future date, but they will take care of that in the future at some point at time B. So, and all the parcels in that area are on sanitary sewers. The sewers were placed in back in the 90s at some point. So the need of septic systems or anything associated with it is null and void.
All right. Does that complete your presentation?
That completes my presentation.
Okay. I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that there are no persons wishing to oppose the application.
I hope not.
Based on our attendance today. So we will dispense with the application from, or the questions from opposed. We'll move directly to questions from the commission. Who has questions?
I have a question.
Please. Let's get you on the mic, sir.
Since this easement was drafted, I guess, prior to the ordinance passing, and it's a non-conforming use, is there an agreement for maintenance of the access at this time?
At this time, no. So with the approval of this plat, we will be providing the Planning Commission a maintenance agreement to my clients and the church. We can't force the remainder of the people to sign off on the maintenance agreement because there was never one drawn up originally from the get-go. So we are speaking with them to try to get them in agreement to take over part of the maintenance on the property. But as it stands now, the applicant understands, that, she will maintain what they need to maintain to be able to get to the house, and the church will maintain what they need to maintain.
That created an issue?
No, they would do that as part of the submission of the minor plat.
Okay.
And in order for us to approve it, they've got to submit that.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Combs? All right, Mr. Douglas, you're up.
I'm a little confused. I bet I get easily confused. Who owns the property?
Ms. Aker.
Okay, but you made a comment that that strip that I was talking about, the beach,
Yes.
was part of the track one?
No, it
No.
is the green track. That's if you see it there, it's I'm not sure what they're doing now. They have storage buildings on there that they're selling now, but they used to be a like an auction house type
It's a secondhand store.
secondhand store.
Yeah.
So
That's the Stones location, correct?
uh,
I don't know who the owner is.
yes, that's their location. Yes.
Okay, so they're part of the Beach family, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, that's what you meant?
Yes.
Okay, now I'm not confused anymore.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? All right, Mr. Marsh?
When I look at the proposed lines, I see us getting real close to the existing church to try to get it appears to be the sheds and barns on the parcel.
Mm-hmm.
What is the purpose of those? From the photographs, it looked like that was part of the church.
Well, her husband has stuff stored in there, and they use it for storage for the house and whatnot. So, with yet again, we're dealing with zoning. Zoning for C3 is a 0 setback, so you can have a building right on top of the property line. So, her wishes were to try to keep all the buildings that they needed there to.
It's part of the residence.
Part of the residence, yes.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Jones.
So Miss Akery owns the entire part where the church is and the house is now?
Yes.
So is she separating it and selling the church part to the church, or is she going to maintain ownership of?
No, the church will be its own entity. So the church is going to exist on its own, and they are going to split off their house since her husband is now not pastor of the church.
Okay, but are they selling the church portion to the church, or is you going to maintain the ownership of both parcels?
Let's get you up on the mic here so we can catch that on the record, please. Thank you.
No, we're going to keep on holding on to the property as far as ownership is. And the church actually pays rent for use of that property. Now, at some point, the church may want to offer to purchase that, but probably they'll wind up in our will. It's probably where that's going to go.
Okay.
All right, further questions? Mr. Douglas.
So when you do a property search, is it listed in their name or the church's name?
It is in her husband's name.
Thank you.
Okay, further questions? All right, Mr. Urban.
I have one just for the record. So this is actually only an application for a waiver to create a lot. It is not a development plan. There's no additional change in the existing land uses.
No, everything's going to stay as it is.
Great.
All right, anyone else? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we will dispense with rebuttal and finals as well in this case. So, Mr. Urban, will you frame this up for us?
Sure. So there's a request for a waiver for access easement on page 2 in your staff report. There are motions for either approval or denial. As always, I encourage you to look at the reasons why you would make a motion either for either one of those and add to the language that's in there something specific from this case. I think on page 3 at the top, there are other considerations, like would this be a detriment to the public good? Would it be an impairment of the purposes, basic objectives, and intent of subdivision regulations, an impairment of desirable general development of the neighborhood and the community as proposed by the comprehensive plan? As you heard, there is not a attached development plan with this. The land use is not changing. The potential 3 conditions of approval. The waiver shall only apply to the plan reviewed at the February 27, 2024 Planning Commission public hearing. A minor plat application and survey must be submitted to the staff for review and approval prior to the issuance of any building permits. And number 3 is a shared road maintenance agreement shall be prepared and agreed upon by all parties affected and recorded with the minor plat.
Thank you, Mr. Urban. All right, commissioners, you're up. Mr. Finney? I have a question. Get closer to the mic, would you, please?
Nothing's really changing other than an official access. I mean, it's what's going on is what's going on.
Well, that's correct as far as land use, but they're creating another tract. And our regulations specifically say that you can only have, and you can see it on the, let's see, it's highlighted here on the last page of your staff report, or actually page 4, joint access, highlighted in your staff report, no more than 3 parcels may take access from any single street encroachment not considered a frontage street or private roadway. So that's the waiver that's being requested.
So just in a legal standpoint, there will be a different tract in there.
Yes.
Legally, but the tract actually, I mean, it exists as such.
And if it's approved and an access maintenance agreement is submitted with the minor plat, then Ms. Akery has the opportunity to do with the land as she desires, given what might happen between, as you heard in testimony, her husband's health or the desire to give it to the church or sell it.
All right. Mr. Ender, please.
Jim, and this is just more in general, but at what point does an access easement with so many parcels turn into a county road with county maintenance?
Well, first of all, this access easement isn't built to county standards, so it will never, unless they upgrade it. So that's
Okay.
the first thing. It has to be built according to county standards and our subdivision regulations for not only width, but profile and how it's constructed. So this would remain a private access easement.
Okay.
All right. Floor is open for motions, guys. Who would like to bring forth a motion? Ms. Jones.
I'll make a motion in regards to docket PZ 24002 that we approve the waiver because strict compliance with the regulations would create an undue hardship to the Acree family because of needing to have the home separated from the church to access that, the money for the home for care of her husband. And also, I don't think that it causes any detriment because there's no change to the usage of the land. It doesn't cause any detriment to the public or impairment of any of the current usage or affect the neighbors. So I make a motion to approve the waiver.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Do you wish to incorporate the conditions of approval?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Combs, do we have an adequate motion? All right, we have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? Mr. Hampton, thank you. And we will move into roll call vote unless there's discussion. Okay, roll call vote.
Mr. Elder,
Yes.
Mr. Finney,
Yes.
Mr. Fox,
Yes.
Mr. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Ender,
Yes.
Mr. Hampton,
Yes.
Ms. Walzer,
Yes.
Mr. Marsh,
Yes.
Ms. Nasser,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Klingenfuss,
Yes.
Mr. Falvey,
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Edgar. And PZ-24-002, motion to approve is passed on a vote of 12-0. Thank you. All right. Last item on the docket, Commissioners. Mr. Hampton.
Mr. Chairman, could I make an observation?
Absolutely.
I would encourage staff, if possible, to get our packets out a few days earlier for a couple of reasons. Number one, it gives us a chance to review it earlier. And number two, I'm not sure about everybody else, but if it's something like a subdivision or a commercial building or a whatever, I like to go visit the site. And I would encourage everybody else to. If you don't, it gives you a different perspective than just looking at it on paper. And that's it.
All right, noted, and thank you. All right. Anyone else? Okay. All right, next agenda item is nomination or election of officers. We will begin with nominations for vice chair. Do I have a nomination for vice chair? Mr. Klingenfuss.
Katie Nasser.
Ms. Nasser? Anyone else?
Any other nominations?
Mr. Ender with a second. All right. Any discussion? We will move into, can we do this by voice vote?
Yeah, yes, yes.
Okay.
So essentially your call for nominations is closed, and now you have one person that's been nominated, so you're going to make a motion to approve Ms. Nasser as vice chair.
Thank you for that. I'm going to incorporate everything he just said. And we will have a voice vote. All in favor of reappointing Ms. Nasser, Vice Chair of Planning Commission, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, like sign. Ms. Nasser, chair is yours for the moment.
Thank you, everyone. And
Microphone.
Thank you, everyone. And also, thank you for everyone in your skills on motions. You guys are really helping me out there so that I don't have to step in as the backup. So I appreciate that. And everybody's been doing a great job at making motions lately. So I thank you for that. And I thank you for renominating and electing me as vice chair.
So you have an official duty now.
I know. I would like to reinstate and vote to elect Greg King as chair.
Well, it's a call for nominations.
A call for nomination, okay.
So you're nominating.
So first, I would like
Greg
to
King.
nominate and call for nominations. I would like to nominate Greg King as chair. Greg has stood in and done a fabulous job for us and continues to do so. But I would like to open the floor for any other nominations as well.
Thank you, Ms. Nasser.
I second Shelley's motion for Mr. King.
There we go. Seeing
We're good at this, aren't we?
seeing no other nominations, we'll close that and take a voice vote.
Yeah, so now it's somebody makes a motion to. Yep,
There we go.
There you go.
I'll make a motion that we vote to approve Greg King as chairman of the Planning Commission.
Second that.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh.
All opposed?
All right. Thank you all. I do appreciate your ongoing support and accommodation as well. Thank you all. All right. Anything else, Mr. Urban?
We will have an SRC meeting on March 21st. I think that's the third Thursday.
Yeah, it should be the fourth
Fourth.
Thursday, right?
Then it add.
March
That is
28th.
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 Sorry. Mhm.
And then we do have 3 items already on your docket, so we will be meeting on the 26th.
Busy week. Okay. All right. Anyone else? All right. We will stand adjourned then. Thanks all.
Yep.